Hey, fellow problem solvers, Colfax Math here. We're working on math test success so you could be as successful as possible on any standardized math exam, specifically the ASVAB military placement exam, both the arithmetic reasoning portion and the mathematical knowledge portion of the exam. Can't believe you made it here to chapter 25. Well, I tell you the truth, I'm a little surprised that I made it all the way through these 25 videos. Writing this book is a lot of work, but I really enjoy it. And the whole point of all of this is so you could be successful as possible on any standardized exam. The way to do well on a standardized exam is practice. So you have to have the book out in front of you. You could buy it on Amazon. I think it's about 13 bucks. I really don't make any money on that. I just want to make it available. The process of taking notes and writing stuff down with pencil and paper really helps it stick. You can't learn to juggle by watching me juggle. You got to practice. You can't learn math without practice. So really the way to do all of these videos and this book is to watch the video, take notes. When we get the problems, pause the video, do the problems on your own, unpause the video, and watch how I do them. If you don't want to buy the book on Amazon, you could go to mathtestsuccess.com and download it for free. All right, with all that said, what we're going to do here in chapter 25 is we're going to go back through a lot of tips for success on a math exam, a lot of the ideas on it, and then we're going to take a 20 problem test. So number one, the parts of algebra, which is only a portion of either the math knowledge or the arithmetic reasoning. Here are the important parts of algebra. Understand what linear equations are, drawing on Cartesian coordinates, systems of equations. That's when you have two equations and you usually find where those two lines intersect. A polynomial, how to add, subtract, and factor. Quadratic equations, very little of the quadratic equation on any ASVAB test. I put it in here so it's a comprehensive algebra class. Inequalities. An inequality is not an equal sign, it is an unequal sign. So if I have x equals 3, that's an equality. X is less than 3, that is an inequality. The key thing to remember here is if I divide by a negative, I flip that sign. And then we talked a little bit about functions, function notation. On the geometry side of things, understanding what lines and rays are, and then angles, talked about complementary, supplementary, linear pair, a lot of those problems. Know your shapes, circles, triangles, quadrilateral, four-sided figures, Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and then coordinate geometry, being able to connect dots on that coordinate plane to build shapes. Data analysis, another section, the mean, median, mode. The mean means the average. The median is the middle value. The mode is the most frequent value. Probability is the likelihood of an event. So how probable is it? A probability is always between 0 and 1. And it is defined as the number in the event over the number in the sample space. Be able to read histograms, pie graphs, all different sorts of graphs and charts. And then applied algebra are a lot of rate problems and mixture problems. You'll see those. So remember that distance is equal to rate times time. Another way to look at work is rate times time. Mixture problems, setting up ratios and proportions for new mixtures of chemicals. Okay, if you didn't really understand all that, maybe go back through some of those chapters. Or you could also take the test at the end of this, and then whatever pieces you feel like you really kind of missed, you go back and review those chapters. Again, it is both arithmetic reasoning and mathematical knowledge for the ASVAB. But this whole course, all 25 chapters, all 25 videos, is really a basic algebra class so that you can move into any level of math from here. All right, test taking strategies. Timing is really important. If you have 60 minutes and 50 problems, you never spend more than about a minute per problem. Hardest problem on the test has the same weight as the easiest problem, so don't miss a bunch of easy ones doing careless work. So you could spend a lot of time on a really hard one that you probably get wrong anyway. So pacing is really important. Answer the easiest questions first. Don't get worked up. Don't dwell if you're stuck. Highlight the fact that you're stuck. Move on to the next one. Don't worry about it. And if there is time permitting, go back and answer that problem. You should have a watch on. Ideally, there will be a clock in the thing, and you keep an eye on time, timing yourself. After 15 problems, maybe you're 15 minutes in or so. If you really can't solve the problem with a good strategy, look at the answers, cross out answers that don't even make sense. A lot of times, you might not even understand the problem, but if you look at the answers, you could really solve the whole problem by just looking at the answers. Estimate, rule out answers that don't make any sense, plug in answers to check, and understand the question types. Are they multiple choice, quantitative comparison, or word problems? Avoiding common mistakes. Negatives, always losing a negative. If you just drop it off by accident, the wrong answer is usually like one of the first choices and you circle it. Fractions, do not forget to add or subtract fractions. You have to have a common denominator. Remember order of operations, a lot of those problems. Algebraic errors, make sure you distribute completely, combine similar terms. Word problems, I have a whole video on word problems. I have a 5-step process. Step 1, mark up the problem as much as you can, circling important numbers and pieces to it. Step 2, create a picture from that sentence. Step 3, create an equation from that picture. Step 4, solve the equation. And then step 5, check your answer by plugging it back in. Geometry formulas, make sure you're using the right formula, and then always check your work. Final test day advice, make sure you sleep well the night before. The more you practice, the more relaxed you're going to be. Eat a good breakfast, stay positive, manage your anxiety, don't get worked up over anything. You're going to do the best you can is all you can. Arrive early, you don't want to rush, get all sweaty and nervous before a test. Read instructions carefully, and then if you've prepared well, I'm sure you're going to do great. All right, so with all that said, let's go ahead and take this test. Hopefully you have the book out in front of you. If not, make sure you have blank paper and pencil out in front of you. You want to mark up that test as much as you can, eliminating answers, pacing yourself pretty well. Pause the video, work through a few problems, unpause the video, watch how I do them. All right, with all that said, let's start on number 1. Which of the following is equivalent to 0.45? Let me look down here. Oh, this stands out to me right here, all of the above. So even if I have the right answer, I might not still get it right because it could be all of them. Well, 0.45 is the same thing as this is my tenths, my hundredths, is the same thing as 45 100ths. It is also the same thing as 45%. So I could see this is correct, so it has to be answer D. If I don't see this one, that's okay, I could just go with answer D. But to check that one, I could multiply this by 5 over 5. I'm multiplying by 1, I'm not changing the value. That's going to give me 45 over 100, same as I have right there. So again, correct answer, answer D. Number 2, I'm looking at this problem right away, and I know that the point of this problem is going to be order of operations, right? I got a lot of operations up there, so it's going to be all about order of operations. I am following that acronym PEMDAS. What that means is parentheses first, then exponents, multiplication, division at the same level from left to right, then addition, subtraction. So what I'm going to do here is I have 12 plus 3 times my parentheses. That's the first thing I do, 8 minus 5, divided by 9. Still working left to right. I'm going to do all my multiplication and division next. I am not going to do that addition, so I have 12 plus 9 divided by 9. 12 plus, can't do that addition until I do all my division and subtraction. 9 divided by 9 is 1. 12 plus 1, answer B, 13. Not that hard of a problem if you remember that, but if you haven't seen this in a while, practice on this is going to go a long way. This is just a math knowledge problem here, number 3. what is the absolute value of negative 15? Those bars say everything inside of them is positive. So the absolute value negative 15 is 15. This problem is just a check to see whether or not you know that notation. Number 4, right away I see this problem and I know this is about the idea that do you know it needs a common denominator. Add, subtract fractions, I need a common denominator. I have 1/4 plus 2/3. Then we'll go into 6 or 8. The only numbers we'll go into is 12. I can't just turn it into a 12, but if I want to multiply this by a 3, that'll give me a 12 at the bottom. I can't multiply by a 3. I can only multiply by 1 so as not to affect the value. 3 over 3 is equal to 1, doesn't change the value. That's going to give me 3/12. The reason I did that is I'm going to do the similar thing over here to get a 12th as well. To get 3 to 12, I multiply by 4. Again, I can't multiply by 4. I have to do 4 over 4. That's equal to 1. So I have 3/12 plus 2 times 4, 8/12. Now that I have that common denominator, I add across the top, keep that common denominator. Correct answer, 11/12. If you're just watching this, you're not getting as much out of it as if you were doing the problems yourselves first. So again, if you don't want to get the book, you don't want to download it, at least have a piece of scratch paper out and do the problems. On some of the easier ones, you can just pause the video and just see if you can do it in your head pretty quickly. Okay, convert 7/25 into a decimal. I could do this a few ways. I could think of that fraction falling over and do 25 into 7.0. But I notice that 25 is a quarter, so I could just go right to 100. Similarly, like I multiply by 1, I'm going to multiply by 1. 4 over 4 is equal to 1. I picked that 4 to make that 100. That's going to give me 28 over 100. Let's look at my answers now. Well, these aren't going to work at all. 2.8, this is less than 1. It can't be that. So it has to be correct answer, 0.28. Okay, number 6, what percentage of 50 is 15? So what percentage of 50 is 15? I'm going to do this one similarly. I'm saying 15 to 50. Well, it's not a part of 100. A percent's a part of 100. So I'm going to multiply this by a factor of 1 to make it 100 in the bottom. So I'm going to pick a 2. That's going to give me 100 down here, 30 up here. So I could see it as 31/100ths, 3/10ths, or 0.3, or 30%. 30 parts of 100. Correct answer, B. All right, we're moving right along here. Number 7, a store is having a 20% off sale. First thing I'm going to do is convert that to a decimal. It is an item originally cost $80. What is the sale price? It is 20% off, but they're asking me for the new price. If I did 20 times 80, I would get 16. That is the amount off. You can see it's right there, natural distractor. So you got to read carefully. What is the original price? I am not going to use that 0.2. I'm actually going to do 1 minus that 0.2 to give me 0.8. Then I'm going to take that 80 times that 0.8. You can see that's going to be 64, and that's going to give me the new sale price, $64. Answer A right here. Reading comprehension is such a big part of these word problems. Number 8. Same thing here, reading comprehension. What is the ratio of 12 apples to 18 oranges? In simplest form, 12 to 18, that's what I have. It's a natural distractor, but it says simplest form. Well, 2 will go into there 6 times, into there 9 times. 3 will go into here twice. 3 will go into there 3 times. The lowest, simplest form, 2/3. Answer C. Okay, number 9. Almost at the halfway point. If 3 notebooks costs $4.50. So I have $4.50 for 3. How much will 5 notebooks cost? I could do this a few different ways. It is at the same rate. I know it has to be more than $4.50. I know it has to be less than 9, but those I can't get there from there. I think I'm going to do $4.50 divided by 3. That's going to be $1.50. So it's $1.50 per notebook. And then I have these 5 notebooks. $1.50 times 5 is 0, 25. Carry the 2, 7. The decimal place is over 1, 2 here, so it's over 1, 2 there. You get $7.50. If it's a little hard to do $4.50 divided by 3, think of it as a fraction falling over. 3 goes into $4.50. It goes into 4 one time. It goes into 15 5 times. Bring the 0 down. And then that decimal goes right up. And that's where I got that $1.50 per book. Okay, number 10, convert 3 feet 6 inches to inches. This is a really hard problem if you didn't grow up in the U.S. You got to know that there are 12 inches, double tick mark for inches, equal 1 foot, 1 single tick mark for feet, 12 inches to the foot. So if I have 3 feet, that means I got 3 sets of 12. 3 times 12 is 36 inches. That 3 feet is the equivalent of 36 inches, but then I have another 6 inches that I have to add on there. 36 inches plus 6 inches, 42 inches. Double ticks are inches. Correct answer, answer A. Here's another unit conversion right here, number 11. It's pretty tricky as well if you didn't grow up here, or even if you did, you might not know that 16 ounces is equal to 1 pound. Another part of the weirdness here is LB stands for pounds, OZ is ounces. Okay, so 16 ounces equal 1 pound. Add 8 ounces to 4 pounds, 8 ounces. So that means I have 4 pounds, 8 ounces. A lot of ways I could do this. Add another 8 ounces to it. I'm going to add straight down and give me 4 pounds, 16 ounces. 16 ounces equals 1 pound. 16 ounces equal 1 pound. That gives me 5 pounds. I go to my answers. I don't see it there. I need to convert it to ounces. Again, 16 ounces to the pound. I do 16 ounces times 5 to get 30. Carry the 3, 8. So the total of all of that weighing together, 80 ounces right there. One more unit conversion. How many minutes are 2.5 hours? This one's a little easier because there are 60 minutes equal 1 hour. So that 2 times 60 gives me 120 minutes. And then that 0.5 times 60 gives me 30 minutes for a total of 150 minutes. Correct answer, answer D right there. Easiest one of the last few for sure. Okay, we have another fraction problem. It is not an equation. There is no equal sign. It is an expression. Multiplication, division, I don't need a common denominator. I do need to know the rule for division. I have 8/15 divided by 2/5. The rule is I convert this division to multiplication and I flip that over. So I have to turn that to multiplication and I flip that over. And then that's going to give me 8/15 times 5/2. I could go right now if I want and get 40/30 and reduce from there. Or I could reduce now. I think I'm going to reduce now. 2 goes into here once. 2 goes into here 4 times. 5 goes into here once, into here 3 times. I'm going to multiply across the top to get 4/3. Look for my answer there. Some similar answers, but not quite. So from this improper fraction, I'm going to turn it into a mixed number. 3 goes into 4 one time with 1 left over. So 1 1/3. Correct answer, answer B right there. Number 14. What is 35% of 80? I could eliminate some answers here. 115 doesn't make sense. I know that 50% of 80 is 40. Well, I can't really do. I know this is going to be 25% of 80, so it can't be that. I have to figure it out between those two. So the way I think of a percent, I think of this as an arrow shooting the dot over 1, 2. I take that 35%, convert it into 0.3, and I am multiplying 80 by that. 0, 40, placeholder, 0, 24, and I get 2800, 2800. The decimal place is over 1, 2. Decimal place goes over 1, 2. Correct answer, answer A, 28. Ratio problem right here, scale. If a map has a scale of 1 inch equals 50 miles, 1 inch equals 50 miles, what is the actual distance when I have 3.5 inches, right, on the map? So I have one ratio equal to another ratio. That's called a proportion. I want to know how many miles I'll have. This is a very common ASVAB. A couple different ways I could do this. I see it as 1 times what gives me 3.5. So I'm going to multiply that by 3.5 to get 3.5. Therefore, I have to take 50 and multiply it by 3.5 to get that. 50 times 3.5. If I'm pretty, if I've done a lot of practice here, I could do 3 times 50, 150, a half times 50, 25, and get 175. Or I can multiply it out. 5 is 0, 25, placeholder 0, 15, 0, 5, 7, 1, decimals over 1, 175. Correct answer, answer A. Again, doing this in my head pretty quickly, like 50 times 3 plus 50 times a half, that comes from practice. So the more you kind of work with numbers, the better you get at it. If you're not there, that's great. Just multiply it out. We're still, only at a minute per problem right now. Okay, problem 16. These are pretty common problems as well. Which of the following is the largest? Well, I'm comparing different things. 2 of them are decimals, one's a fractions, one's a percent. Since 2 of them are already decimals, I'm going to put them all in the decimals. I'm going to multiply this by 2 over 2, which is 4/10, or 0.4. 0.4 is less. It's also the same as that. And then 41% is 0.41. 0.42 is the largest. Let me double check that. What is the largest value? Correct answer, B. Okay, here's math knowledge problem. Do you know what all this notation means? Right, so I look at that, and I have 2 takeaways. One is order of operations is going to be important, and then the other is, do you know those operations? This is to the power. I do exponents first. 2 to the third is 2 times 2, 4 times 2, 8. So that's 8. This thing is saying what times itself is 25. Well, 5 times 5 is 25 minus 10 divided by 2. Now, it's easy to work left to right, but remember I do multiplication division before addition subtraction. So I have to do this first. This is a great math knowledge problem. 8 plus 5 minus 10 divided by 2. Now I go left to right. 5 minus 5 is 0, so 8 plus 5 minus 5 is going to be 8. Correct answer, D, right there. Number 18. Let's see if I can figure this one out. What is 120% of 75? 120%, but certainly not going to be that, because that's less than 75, so I can eliminate that one. 80 is awfully close. It's not going to be 20% more. Let's go ahead and figure this one out. I'm going to convert this to a decimal over 1, 2. So I have 75 times the decimal 1.2, 120%. 2 times 5, 10, carry the 1, 14, 15. Placeholder, 1 times 5, 1 times 7, add straight down, 0, 10, carry the 1, 7, 1, 1, 9. And then my decimal over 1, correct answer, 90, which is C. All right, 2 more problems. If you are still here, congratulations. You are working hard to do the best you can. I don't know what happened to that problem. I got a little too excited, I guess, but we're almost done. Okay, number 19. Actually, before I do 19, I'll give you a little pitch. If these videos are helpful, please share them. Please subscribe. Hit the notification button. Buy the book, support the channel. Go back and refer to it. Or download the book for free. And with that said, let's go ahead and do these last 2 problems. A recipe calls for 2/3 of a cup of flour. If you want to make half the recipe, so I have 2/3 times a half. I could cancel now and say this is equal to 1/3. How much flour do you need? So the correct answer is 1/3. Right there, answer D. If I didn't reduce, I would have gone across the top, 2, 6. Then I could have reduced that to 1/3. Last problem, problem number 20 right here. It's been a long journey together. Again, I can't thank you enough for coming on this journey with me. If you're still here, congratulations. You might have missed some of that math early on in your life, but if you worked your way through these 25 chapters, you're writing that. You're making it correct. You're doing the work, putting it in, learning that math. That's really going to serve you well in the future, both on any standardized exam and also really on any kind of pursuit you take. This is actually a little bit of a tricky one. If the price of a shirt goes from 20 to 25, what is the percent increase? Well, 125, that doesn't make sense. And it sure doesn't look like 5. That would be $5, but not 5%. The way you do this problem is you look at the amount of increase, $5, over the original price. So it's 5 over 20. To get to 100, to get 20 to 100, I would multiply by 5. To get 25 over 100, or 0.25, or 25%, answer C right here. What a lot of people want to do is they put 20 over 25, or they put the 5 over the 25 to get that 20%. That is incorrect. You only do that if it were a discount. So how much would it be discounted? Then you wouldn't put over the 20. You go in that direction, so you put over 25. All right, once again, thank you. Well done. Good luck.